The Haunting of Blackwood Manor. In the remote hills of England, during the late 1700s, there stood a great mansion known as Blackwood Manor. It had once been a magnificent estate, home to Lord Thomas Blackwood, a man of wealth and privilege, but now it was a decaying shadow of its former self. The once lush gardens were overgrown, and the stone walls of the manor began to crack and crumble under the weight of time. Lord Blackwood had been a man of strange habits, often disappearing for weeks at a time without explanation. Rumors whispered through the nearby village that he had become obsessed with the occult, dabbling in alchemy and dark rituals to prolong his life and gain unimaginable power. Some even claimed he had made a pact with the devil himself. But it wasn't Lord Blackwood's peculiar behavior that most frightened the villagers. It was his daughter, Eleanor. She had been a sweet, innocent girl in her youth, but as she grew older, she became a shell of her former self. She was seen less and less, and when she did appear in public, her face was pale, her eyes wide and hollow. People said she had changed after a terrible accident in the woods, where she had wandered alone and returned with no memory of what had happened. One bitter winter evening, Eleanor vanished from Blackwood Manor without a trace. The search parties scoured the hills for days, but no sign of her was ever found. The manor was silent, its windows dark, and for a time, the villagers thought the Blackwoods had simply left. But the truth was much darker. Several months later, a young man named Samuel, eager for adventure, decided to venture into the hills to explore the manor. He had heard the rumors, the strange happenings, the mysterious disappearances, and the whispers of ghostly figures roaming the estate at night. It was all too tempting to resist. As Samuel approached Blackwood Manor, he was struck by how desolate it looked. The wind howled through the trees, and the full moon cast eerie shadows across the landscape. He stepped through the broken gates and made his way to the front door, which creaked open as though inviting him inside. The air inside the manor was cold and musty. Dust covered every surface, and the once grand furniture was now rotting and covered in cobwebs. As Samuel explored the rooms, he began to feel a growing unease, as though something was watching him. It was in the drawing room that he found it, a strange old book on a pedestal. The leather cover was cracked, and the pages inside were yellowed and brittle. It looked ancient, as though it had been there for centuries. Samuel, his curiosity piqued, began to flip through the pages, reading aloud the incantations and symbols scrawled in